Good evening, or ladies and gentlemen, or good morning if you happen to find yourself in South Africa this morning. This is not your normal video. There's no welcome or closing music, as this is a video recorded in anger. As I've once again read of multiple news reports of the Johannesburg Metropolitan Police Department and the Red Ant Security, Eviction and Relocation Services tearing down informal settlements on the southwest side of Johannesburg near Lawley, at the informal settlements of Lakeside, Cocotel, and several others. Multiple news reports from across the country, video footage, audio, and photographs of the events are available. The Johannesburg Metropolitan Police Department and the Red Ants descended on these settlements on the 21st of April. This is after previously doing this on the 16th of April. They once again descended on the 21st and yet again failed to provide a court order for the people living there in the informal settlements. According to the Daily Maverick, at least 575 shacks and a dozen or so brick and mortar formal structures were demolished by the Red Ants, leaving an estimated 1,000 people, men, women, and children, homeless on the high veld as winter rolls into South Africa. 16 were reportedly arrested at the scene. Now let's bear in mind that all of these people, I do believe in the rule of law. And my anger, in normal circumstances, would be directed at people that are squatting on land illegally. However, while these people are illegal squatters, they are not allowed to be evicted from land in the midst of the Wuhan coronavirus, or COVID-19 by its scientific name. Since President Ramaphosa declared this lockdown to take place in March, authorities have been prevented or prohibited from forcing people out of settlements. The goal is to maintain social distancing to control the spread of the coronavirus, COVID-19. How on God's green acre, when the police and a private security firm are kicking people out of their homes and tearing down informal settlements, how are people supposed to maintain social distance and adhere to the rules? How are they not being placed in danger? Now, these informal settlements sprang up in July of 2018, which would be in the middle of winter in the Southern Hemisphere in Johannesburg. Now, the interesting take here is that the land itself doesn't belong to a white farmer. It doesn't belong to white monopoly capital. It doesn't belong to some foreigner who owns the land. The land is in the title of the Department of Human Settlements. This is land the government of South Africa owns. Interesting. When the government owns land, they send thugs out to destroy the informal settlements of those who are living there illegally. Yet the Minister of Justice is a fan of expropriation without compensation. Rodney Lamola is on record as having stated that EWC will happen and it is the right thing to do in his mind. Yet when under an illegal eviction operation that takes place twice now in the span of 5 days in the Johannesburg metro area, the Minister of Justice is strangely silent. Where is Justice Minister Rodney Lamola? Is he with Waldo? What's happened to him? What has happened to him? Let's talk a little bit more about this. So, I'm angry. I'm hot under the collar. That's right. It's near midnight here, and I'm up to make this video just to share my anger about this situation. Neither the Johannesburg Metropolitan Police or the Red Ants could produce a court order. And the one that was produced previously was from 2019 and had expired, no longer valid. Under the National Disaster Management Plan, Section 11C, they cannot evict people. Justice Minister Lamola himself on the 23rd of March said the following in response: all evictions and executions of attendant orders, both movable and immovable, including the removal of movable assets and sales in execution, is suspended with immediate effect for the duration of the lockdown. Now, what part of that is difficult to understand? No evictions, none. You cannot evict people. It's impossible for them to adhere to the lockdown rules when their settlements are destroyed. So where is Lamola now? He's silent. Is he with Waldo? Where do we find the Justice Minister? The man who's fond of confiscating legally owned property with expropriation without compensation seems to think it's okay for the government to evict squatters off of government land. Why? What is the urgent, pressing need for these people in the midst of an epidemic or a pandemic to be kicked off of land that they're squatting on? Economic freedom fighters, Julius Malema, my friend Juju. Where are you, Juju? Where's Juju? Are you with Lamola hanging out, having a bribe perhaps, while 1,000 people are kicked onto the high veld in winter? What is going on here? Is this what the liberation struggle is all about? To replace a minority, racist regime with a majority regime that abuses its citizens, in particular its black citizens, and then blames it on racism and blames it on apartheid for their failures? Am I being harsh? Perhaps. But when the government, bureaucracy, and a majority-owned BEE certified firm kick people off of informal settlements in contravention of national directives that prohibit that, then you see why I get a little bit angry. Where's the press? It's reporting on this. But where's the anger? Where's the anger? People were upset about Marikana. But you remember, Cyril Ramaphosa sat on the board of the company that was responsible for calling the police that led to the shooting of people there. Yet today he's president. Interesting. I guess liberation only matters when you have hate in your heart and you're angry at someone else. Let's take a look at what some of the actions that took place in these evictions on the 21st of April, 2020. So according to the Daily Maverick, you had a young man who stood motionless, gaping, rooted to a plank of wood that 30 minutes before had held up the small zinc shack he called his home. From there, he had sold fruit and vegetables, gum, snacks, and airtime to his neighbors to make a living. So in essence, he had a small tuck shop. The Red Ants personnel with weapons took it all, he said, along with the Rand 1,800 in cash for new stock he had in his pocket, his phone, furniture, store, and even bits of the structure. What was left lay at his feet. Now, even with an eviction order, which is not valid under the lockdown, what are the Red Ants doing robbing this man in the presence of the Johannesburg Metropolitan Police Department? What right do they have to take money out of this man's pocket and to take his mobile phone? They've destroyed this man's ability to have a living in normal times, let alone in COVID-19. This is absolutely insane. If you're not angry about this, then there's something wrong with you. I don't care if you're white, black, Asian, colored, purple, green, blue, red, from Mars, Alpha Centauri, South Africa, or wherever you're from. This is simply wrong. You're hearing this from a rule of law person who believes in public order, but public order for the public good. Destroying informal settlements in the midst of a pandemic in which the national government has declared that this does not take place is not good to public order, and it's not good for public health. Shame on the people behind this, whoever they are, what bureaucrats or political figures have pulled this off. And now twice in the span of less than a week in the Johannesburg metropolitan area. And where is the Minister of Justice, Mr. Rodney Lamola? Mr. Expropriation without compensation, confiscating legally obtained land is okay. But when you squat on government land, you're going to be kicked off, even in the midst of an epidemic or a pandemic in which it's been banned. So there you have it, ladies and gentlemen. It's now the 22nd, moving to the 23rd of April, 2020. As you can see, I'm a little hot under the collar about this situation. This is not what liberation was about. This is not what equality is about. This is not what economic empowerment is about. This is abuse of power directed against the most vulnerable in society. And the people out there doing it weren't white. They weren't members of the National Party. They weren't people who were taking advantage of others from the private sector. Government officials sanctioned this action and took this action against citizens in South Africa. Wake up, South Africans. The municipal elections are coming in 2021. In 2021, you have a choice. You can vote for the same failure that's taken place over many years. You can vote for the even worse radical move to the left with the economic freedom fighters, or you can find another option in South Africa. I strongly suggest you look deep in your hearts, look around at what's happening with open eyes and make a sound choice. These evictions must stop immediately. The Justice Minister must come out of hiding and speak out against these, or he should be removed from office. Ladies and gentlemen, this has been my angry video. I'm not happy. I hope you're angry too. Hang in there.